Hi, hello and welcome back to F1 Challenge VB. My name is Mephisto and our journey through the history of Formula 1 continues today with the opening round of the 1962 season, the Dutch Grand Prix. But before we begin, I would, as always, like to thank everyone who took part in the straw poll. It is highly appreciated. I would also like to thank everyone else who follows this channel. Without you, all of this would be pretty much pointless. A channel without viewers and subscribers isn't really a channel at all. Anyway, let's take a look at the poll results. There were a total of 54 votes, which is slightly disappointing, but I'm going to attribute the low number to the fact that the season was relatively short as well. With that, let's take a closer look at the results. Bowmaker Yeoman didn't receive any votes, UDT Laystall Racing received 2 votes, Écurie Galois, Porsche, Écurie Marsbergen, Scuderia Filippinetti and Ferrari received 3 votes each, Owen Racing Organization received 4 votes, Cooper had 6 votes, making them the third most popular team, Lotus received 13 votes, becoming the second most voted team, but the winning team was Brabham with 15 votes, making this a very close call. So we will be driving for Jack Brabham in 1962. Unfortunately, this means that he will not be racing. Once again, thank you to those of you who took part in the straw poll, and thank you to everyone else as well. I really appreciate every tiny bit of support I can get. Anyway, with that out of the way, let's take a quick look at what happened in the real-life 1962 season. The season started on the 2nd of January and ended on the 29th of December. It was made up of 29 races in total, with 9 of them being part of the World Championship, whilst the other 20 were non-championship events. The Drivers' Championship was won by Graham Hill, who won 4 of the 9 races, scoring 42 points, or 52 if we are to consider the dropped points. Clark finished the season in second, he won 3 of the 9 races and scored a total of 30 points. And Bruce McLaren took third. He only won 1 race, but managed to accrue 27 points or 32 with the dropped points, and that is what allowed him to take third. The Formula 1 International Championship for Manufacturers was won by BRM by winning 4 of the 9 races and scoring 42 points or 56 with the dropped points. Lotus finished second, winning 3 of the races and scoring 36 points or 38 with the drop points. And the third spot went to Cooper. They only won a single race but have accumulated 29 points or 37 with drop points, which was enough to secure them the third spot. 1962 turned out to be another deadly season, with 2 drivers losing their lives during the course of it. The first of the 2 was Ricardo Rodriguez, who died in a crash during a non-championship race in his home country Mexico. The second fatality of the season was that of motorcycle rider Gary Hawking, who took part in the Natal Grand Prix at Westmead Circuit in South Africa. The 1962 season brought about another small change to the scoring system, namely, they decided that it didn't make too much sense to give the winning driver 9 points and the winning constructor 8, and so starting with this season, both drivers and constructors would receive 9 points for winning races. And there's one last thing I'd like to mention before we move on, and that is, before he died, Ricardo Rodriguez has set a world record that would stand for 38 years. He became the youngest driver to ever score points in a Formula 1 race. He was 20 years and 123 days old. This record stood until the 2000 Brazilian Grand Prix, when Jenson Button, who was 20 years and 67 days old at the time, scored his first points. So with all that out of the way, let's take a brief look at the 1962 Dutch Grand Prix. It was held on the 20th of May, it had 22 entries, 20 of them took part in the race, with 11 ending up retiring. The race consisted of 80 laps completed in 2 hours, 11 minutes and 2 seconds. John Surtees started from pole with Graham Hill in second, Clark third, Brabham fourth, McLaren fifth and Ireland sixth. After a fantastic drive, Graham Hill won the Dutch Grand Prix from Trevor Taylor, who finished in second, 27.2 seconds after Hill. Phil Hill ended the race in third, he was 1 minute 21.1 seconds behind. Baghetti finished in 4th, he was 1 lap down. Tony Maggs crossed the line in 5th, he was 2 laps down, and the last person to score points was De Beaufort, he was 4 laps behind. 1 minute 34.4 seconds was the fastest lap of the race, and it was posted by Bruce McLaren. Here we are at the magnificent Zandvoort circuit, where a lap starts off with a long run down into turn 1, a tight right hand hairpin with a bit of a camber to help you navigate the corner more easily. Next we come through turn 2, a left-right chicane, which leads into turn 3, a tight left-hand hairpin. From here the track opens up and you can go flat out until we reach turn 7, a medium speed right-hander. The track opens up once again up until we reach turn 12, a medium speed right-hander. This is followed by turn 13, a fast right hand kink, which brings us onto the main straight, and that is a lap around the Zandvoort circuit. And here we are in qualifying, coming around to set our first qualifying lap, a 131.515, which puts us into pole. However, that's kind of meaningless because only one other person managed to post a qualifying lap, and that was De Beaufort. And as much as I hate to say this, he isn't the fastest AI in the game, and then I come around to improve my time, a 129.963. Again, that doesn't really mean too much because De Beaufort was the only other person who actually posted a qualifying lap, and that was actually something that stood until the end when, well, I just clicked to skip to the next session, and while everyone else got some times generated for them. Anyway, Higgs starts from pole with De Beaufort in second, 33. Third, fourth is Phil Hill, fifth McLaren, Graham Hill 6th, Clark 7th, 8th Dan Gurney, 9th is Tony Maggs, followed by Trevor Taylor in 10th. In 11th we have Ricardo Rodriguez, followed by Giancarlo Baghetti in 12th. 13th is Lorenzo Bandini, Joe Bonnier 14th. 15th is Richie Ginther. Maston Gregory is down in 16th. 17th is Willie May Rees, followed by Ireland in 18th. 19th is Jo Siffert, and Jackie Lewis is bringing up the rear in 20th. So that's the grid lineup for the 1962 Dutch Grand Prix, the opening round of the season. We are starting from pole, but there's not too much pride in it. As I said, no one really qualified beside myself and De Beaufort, but we are off, and I managed to keep myself in first place, which is absolutely amazing. De Beaufort is behind me, and I know that is going to help me, so I'm going to try and pull away as much as possible before the AI can get around De Beaufort. Again, I know that he is not the fastest AI in the season, so that should give me a bit of an advantage to pull away and hopefully, well, get a good enough distance from everyone else to be comfortable. And we already have a 2-second lead on De Beaufort, which is absolutely amazing. And here's a replay of the start. A bit slow, right? The initial launch was a bit slow, but then I got back on the throttle and pulled it through, so we managed to take the lead very, very quickly, or rather to keep the lead very, very easily, as De Beaufort is holding pretty much everyone up, so that's quite advantageous for us at the moment. And we are now coming around to finish lap 2 here, and Bruce McLaren has overtaken De Beaufort and is closing in on me really, really quickly, as we now have a look at a replay of Gregory, who loses his brakes in his late stall coming into turn 1 here, and then gets kind of stuck on the curb there and decides to retire from the race, as we now start lap 3 here, and Bruce McLaren has caught up to me. He's right on my gearbox, trying to have a look at a way to go past me. I'm trying to keep him behind me, but I might have to let him go through. And this is a replay of Jo Siffert, who well, lost control of his car and then went flying, and seconds later Bruce McLaren managed to overtake me. And although he went wide there, I tried to capitalize on that. He somehow didn't lose any speed, kept his momentum, and well, he's now pulling away very, very quickly. We now move on to lap 4 here, still chasing after Bruce McLaren, however fruitlessly, as Phil Hill is right on my gearbox as well now, so he might overtake me soon here. As we take a look at a replay of John Surtees, who loses control of his car, hits the curb there, and then flips the car upside down. I'm not quite sure how that happened, but regardless, he's upside down and is out of the 1962 Dutch Grand Prix. As we now move on to lap 5, and I finally had to let Phil Hill go because I was holding him up and there was no real reason to do that. So that's that. And lap 5 here, and coming actually towards the end of lap 5, Dan Gurney manages to overtake me through the penultimate corner, going on the outside. Very, very well done on his part. it looks like the Porsche is really good. And then as we start lap 6, Tony Maggs, the rookie, one of the rookies of the season, manages to overtake me as well. So we're now down in 5th, but at least we are still in the points, so we have that going for us. And now on lap 7, I mean, the car suddenly started to slow down. There's black smoke coming out of the rear of my car, and that is the end of the race for us, unfortunately. That's quite disappointing. And here is the replay. We see a puff of black smoke coming out of the rear of my Brabham BT3 here, as one of the Ferraris overtakes me, and well, I pull to the side of the track, and that is the end of the race for Andy Higgs, unfortunately. I will have to have a talk with Bruce McLaren and see if we can fix the engine of the BT3 for the next race, because this isn't good. This is not a good way to start the season. And here's a replay of Dan Gurney coming around in his Porsche to set the fastest lap of the race on lap 16, I believe this was. So well done to Dan Gurney, I guess. And here is a replay of Ricardo Rodriguez coming into the pits at the end of lap 16 to retire from the race. Not entirely sure why, but he did come in to retire, so that's his race over. And here is Tony Maggs coming into the pits with a gearbox problem at the end of lap 18, and he is also out of the race, so that's pretty much it for him as well. So, and we now move on to lap 20. We are looking at Richie Ginther, who's coming around. Someone hit my car. It went on into the path of Richie Ginther, caused him to, well, lose control. He ends up on the side of the track here. I speed up the footage a bit, and for some reason he isn't trying to get back on to the track. Instead, he's just weaving the car back and forth. I'm not quite sure what he's trying to do, and eventually stops the car instead of, you know, driving onto the track, which was right there to his left. And here's a replay of Jackie Lewis, still on at the end of lap 20, coming into the pits to retire as well. Not quite sure what happened to his car, but there you have it. He is also out of the Dutch Grand Prix. And we are now having a look at Bruce McLaren, who's coming around to take the win of the Dutch Grand Prix. Absolutely fantastic star of the season for Bruce McLaren, obviously. Not a very good start for Andy, though. An engine failure at the start of a season is never a very good sign. So hopefully we can get things sorted with Jack Brabham before the Monaco Grand Prix. But that was the Dutch Grand Prix. What can I say, really? Not very happy with the results. I'm happy for McLaren, obviously. He did well, but as far as we are concerned, that was a pretty bad result for the race. Anyway, here are the career statistics, and this was Andy's 103rd Grand Prix. His best start is from first, has 7 pole positions, has set 16 fastest laps. His best finishes in first, has completed 72 races, 57 of them in the points, has won 35 Grand Prix, 4 at the Indianapolis 500, 6 in Monaco, has 7 championships under his belt, has scored a total of 388 points, has retired 31 times, has experienced 2,339 out of 2,826 laps, has 6 bronze trophies, 9 silver trophies, 35 gold trophies, and as an extension, 35 podiums. And here is a very quick look at the championship standings. Obviously, Bruce McLaren takes the lead of the championship with Dan Gurney in second, Phil Hill third, fourth Baghetti Bandini fifth, and Joe Bonnier rounding off the top 6. We are down in 17th, which is not very comforting, really. Again, a bad start to the season. As I said, an engine failure at the start of the season is never a good sign. But anyway, let's take a quick look at the Constructors' Championship as well. And here Cooper take the lead of the Constructors' Championship with Porsche in second and Ferrari third, whilst our team Brabham is down in 9th. Quite unfortunate indeed. But that was the Dutch Grand Prix. Overall, a good race for, well, everyone else who managed to finish. Bad for those of us who had to retire for one reason or another. And this is the 10th time I'm saying this, but this is a bad start to the season. I'm kind of worried about what the future might hold. But anyway, our next race is the Monaco Grand Prix. Hopefully things will go a little bit better there. I would like to finish a race at least. That would be actually quite fantastic if we could finish a race. That's a good start. So if we can do that, I think we can figure out the rest out from there. But that is the end of this video. Not much more to say about that. The results were there, you saw them. Nothing very pleasing, so yeah, hoping for something better in the near future. But that is the end of this video. Don't forget to vote for next season's team, link is in the description. I also have a second channel where I will be playing all sorts of different games. At the moment I'm doing a playthrough of Diablo 2 and IL2 Sturmovik 1946, so if you're interested in any of those games, there will be a link in the description to my second channel as well. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you all so much for watching, and as always, stay sharp.